Okay, so what we're going to do tonight is start off with the picture that I posted on Wednesday. I've done some work with it already. This is the original picture that I put out. And as you can see, there's been some changes to it. I especially wanted to bring out the tattoo, make sure there was more detail to that. So what we're going to do is concentrate on a couple of areas. I noticed down here that you can see that there's muscle definition, but you can't really make it out in the picture. Same on the other side, although it's a little easier on this side. I want to pull her out from the image. I want to do some of the muscle as we go along. I think I'm going to leave the arteries and veins more the way they are right now. So let's just get started here. So what we're basically doing is taking the darkening, the darker areas here, and making them more dark. And if we lighten up the area, and then we do the same over here, darken first, and then we lighten. Lightening will do is pull it toward you. Darkening will push it away. And if we take a quick look at what we've got so far, you can see that we've already got a change. We haven't changed the shape of her. All we've done is pull out a little bit of the material that was there originally, so that we enhance it so it's easier to see. Also, while I'm down here, the thing I don't like about this background is it is so bright and distracting. And there's two things we can do about that. The first thing we could do is select her. Oops. Meant to invert her and not the colors of her. So, try that again. I'll select her. If we invert the selection, and a new layer. Okay. Select her again. Layer mask. Invert the layer mask. And now we hang an adjustment off of it. We can actually go ahead and darken the background quite a bit, which as you can see now allows her to be the subject of the image, and that yellow isn't quite so blinding, nor is it there quite so much. And you notice there's a little bit of a issue over here that we'll get to by darkening that down. But right now, getting back to her, let's see. We have these ridges in here that, again, aren't showing, are there, and we can see them, but because it's a two-dimensional image, they are a little bit less defined than they would be if you were to see her in person. So we're going to fix that. And one thing I do quite frequently as I go through is I check to see how I've done. Let's see. Move these layers around a little bit. Okay. So unfortunately we get a little bit too much of the background in when we kick it to see what it looked like before, but you can see how bright the background was and how distracting it was, and now you can start to see some of the definition. Now I might do just a bit of this vein just to show what that would look like, and it depends on the person. Maybe they want their veins to pop. I mean, that is part of the work that was done. To get to where they are. So we'll go with just a subtle change. Up here as well. We can add a little definition into the arm, because we can see it there. We can see that curve that's being hidden beneath all of this. Just like there's another area in here. Now let's move upward. And take another look. Okay. So now to keep this quick tonight, what I'm going to do is just pull her out a little bit more from the background and handle the face. Now what we're going to do with the face is the exact same thing we've been doing all along, and I don't have our eyes to really work on, but by bringing this down here and darkening that area just a bit, you can see that we pull her face out a little bit more. Using the same technique, I can also darken this area down here that still has the yellow to it. And this is only because I did it quick. If I were I would spend more time pulling the subject out of the background to highlight the highlight her. And you can see that there are, while Photoshop did a good job of pulling it out, you can see these little areas in here, and there's ways of enhancing that, but that's not the purpose of tonight's video. So we're going through, and all I'm doing is pulling her out a little bit more by darkening those areas between her and the between the eye and the background. The darkening will cause this to go back a little. So that'll give us the 3 dimensions back on the body and separate her more from the background, which is the goal. She should be the center of the image, not the yellow background or any of the other stuff. If for some reason we wanted to, we could also go through here and adjust that and make it more white. But for now, we're just going to go through darken these areas up a little bit more. And let's see what we've got. Actually, let me take these 2 layers. And see if it'll let me merge those 2. And it did. So now instead of getting, we can see that it changes and not have everything blended together with the bright yellow background. You can see that there's more detail to her. In addition, you've got the darkening around the sides, and if you look around the face, you can see that by darkening the chin area, it gives the face more of a 3-dimensional image to it. Well, it's going to go in here. She has a Cupid's bow, which is that little ridge above the lip. And we're just going to darken that just a little bit. And there's also minor touches that you can do as you go through. Again, this is a quick-ish retouch, but the nose isn't flat. Certainly looks it on here. And this is probably one of the best areas to see what the flattening looks like on an image. Because the nose, which we know is not squished into her face, is being pulled out a little bit by just darkening the areas around it. I like to do the same thing around the eyes. Now, you've probably seen people that have done retouches. I don't have the whites of the eye to work on here, where they brighten up around the eye. They brighten the whites of the eye, and they brighten around the eye. But as you can see from the face, as I pull in, watch those areas, and immediately pulls in and gives her face depth and definition. I'll back out again. And see what anything else that needs to be done. There's an area down here that I didn't get to. That will get a little bit more detail in. Got to skirt that edge very carefully there. And there you can see that we have more muscle. So that's a basic retouch. This will wrap it up for this one. I didn't want to go too long. Quick retouch is usually about 15 minutes for me. In this case, taking more time with the background and things like that, this probably would have gone more to a half an hour to an hour. But this will give you a flavor for what I do for a retouch. On Monday, I will put out what the retouch looked like when I got done. All the way from this original, because remember, this is our original photograph here. That's what we started with. Now, from a photo perspective, I like the pose. I hate the background. And we did lose quite a bit of detail because of it. And you can see this is really tough in here, and this is why it had problems separating her. There's hair in here, but she's blonde, and it's very hard to see the hair with this background, which is one of the reasons I don't like the background. It takes away from her. So in order to bring that back, we have to play with the background a little bit more and how we would pull out the subject so we can get the hair in. But as you can see in this final image, from where we started to where we ended up, you can see that the image itself has more depth to it. It has more, to me, life. It looks more like I think she would look in person. This was a stock photograph that I started with. It was a very good stock photograph, but as with competition photographs, in my opinion, no matter how good they are, they still need this extra care and extra attention to really bring them out. So I hope you guys found this helpful, and there'll be another one next Friday, and this will get posted on Facebook. So thank you all, and have a good night.